Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dice Commando. Today we're doing a Skype interview with Grandpa Jake. Now, he made day two with a very interesting deck, so I wanted to kind of get his perspective not only on Worlds, but really just kind of how he was thinking about prepping for this and how he decided upon his list. So please enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dice Commando. I'm here today with Grandpa Jake, who kicked some butt at Worlds with a very unique deck. What were you playing, Jake?
I was running Poe Dameron from the two-player starter, Aayla Secura from Legacies, and Armored Reinforcement.
So it's a very interesting pairing considering it's non-meta, and then to run AR and vehicles during a desperate measures meta, I think is a unexpected call. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and show up your deck list. But could you just walk us through real quick what led you to that choice going into Worlds?
Sure. So after Gen Con, I played Raylo at Gen Con and got to top 16 with that, and it felt pretty good. I like kind of Blue Hero in general, the good two sides, the nice cheap upgrades, and all that. So I enjoyed that deck, but I kind of felt like I wasn't sure if I was making the best Raylo deck, and so I did Con where I was taking it more capping back down to 12 meant that you could play Poe and Ayla together with an armored reinforcement. And I'd always thought Black 1 could be fun with that reroll aspect, but I didn't really see a great deck for it in the past because you couldn't more or less guarantee it out. So I thought, if I can get something with Black all those specials can do, it could be a lot of fun.
Right, and then you're packing two BB-8s, of course, for the reset, right?
Yep. Yeah. So in the support lineup is two Black 1s, two resistant crate speeders, two BB-8s, and an R2D2. So that way you're guaranteeing you're seeing the BB-8, or at least significantly increasing your chances by things that can blow them up. I kind of want to be able to play all those copies of all those cards throughout the game if it's going to go long. And they're cheap vehicles, so it's not like I'm trying to play four copies of really expensive stuff. Um, I'm playing four copies of two cost vehicles, and so I can generally afford to play all those out throughout the game. And then with BB-8, I can get that reset going and just make it happen that way.
Yeah, I mean that sounds fair. So one thing I was curious about in your list, and like I said again, I'm showing it so everyone can see it, but you were playing mods. So did you make the decision based on if you were playing Yellow Villain or not, whether to play those mods, or how did you decide on that on a case by case basis?
So in that sense, I usually tried to play it down if I didn't think the vehicle was going to get blown up, or only put one mod on a vehicle if I thought there was a chance they were going to do something like Desperate Measures or Convergence or something like that. So there was a little bit of let's not load it up too much and get blown up, but sometimes that's kind of what I wanted to do to almost bait the Convergence on something like a crate speeder so that Black 1 can come out later, or bait the Desperate Measures on that so that Black 1 can come out, or just kind of get them to play those cards, take a couple damage, spend a couple resources, whatever they have to do, and I'll just play another one down when I draw the next one.
Yeah, fair enough. So going through day one, I mean, you obviously went X and two. Did you go better than that? What was your record coming out of day one?
Yep, I finished 6-2. I played against two Palp Yellow decks and went 1-1 against those, which felt good since both of them played both their Desperate Measures and both their Back to Therapies. So it was a lot of health to chew through. So 1-1 was just fine out of that. I played two Chopper Droids, two Raylos, a Forlom, and then my second loss in the final round was to that three-wide leadership mill deck, which I went after Lor Santeca and I got milled real fast.
Yeah, fair enough. Who's the right target in that deck?
It I believe it's Bale because that's who leadership can go on, so that's where the resets are going to come from. And what really felt oppressive to me was that he seemed to end the round with 2 or 3 shields on every single character every round, because with those resets and those giant shield sides on some of the upgrades he was packing, he was just being oppressive while emptying my hand and keeping his characters at full shield. So I think you just have to turn off that leadership combo, which a lot of people didn't really realize until they saw it happening to them,
Sure. Yeah, the
myself included.
leadership admiral, right?
Oh yeah, not leadership. Yeah, admiral. Sorry,
Yeah, yeah, no
uh,
worries.
I get those resets confused. But yeah, the admiral combo with those resets, because you can play that upgrade.
Yeah, so like we were talking about before, but the reason I really wanted to reach out to you and talk about your world's experience was because I think that your deck was a very unexpected one to fly under the radar. And then when you're really looking at your deck list, there's nothing I don't think super sexy or super techy about it. So I think you must have just played the snot out of it, which is pretty impressive. So how did you feel? Did you expect to make the top 64? Or I should say day two? Did you expect day two? Were you surprised? How did that whole go? How were you feeling going into day two?
So I brought this to a prime the first weekend that they had primes, and I got top 4 there. And I played against a lot of chopper decks, and the only one that beat me was this 5 die chopper that could just play 2 convergences in the game, and it wouldn't even touch their ramp. Um, and I was able to go 2-1 in top cut against it, but it beat me in Swiss, and it ended up taking down that tournament. So I kind of felt like this was, at least in the Fateful Companions version, a droids killer. And there's not necessarily specific tech, like you mentioned, that makes that happen, so much as I can kind of play all that removal that is fairly good into droids, including the double EMP, and make it through the first 2 rounds without losing a character, unless they get kind of a double action cheat or a really good rollout round 2. And if I can survive that, and then also use the fact that all my dice have great 2 damage sides on them, have a lot of the character dice all have focus or dice fixing, as well as some disruption of my opponent's dice, I felt like the droids matchup was solid. And so I thought if I saw a lot of that, I would be just fine. And then if I saw a mix of other things, it would come down to being able to play well and take advantage of a little bit of an unexpected factor. So my goal was to make day 2. I wouldn't have been super disappointed if I didn't make it. I could have gone 4-4 and just been just fine. But I did think that I could do it, and so I wanted to see if I could with playing well and seeing if a little surprise factor could help me out.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, it certainly worked out for you, and I like the confidence going in. I mean, it was a bold call, and you sound like you were pretty confident in the call, so respect there.
Was fine. The Raylo matchup, I had great Raylo player locally that I could test against, and that matchup felt fine too. And I thought that's going to be a good chunk of the field. It was 4 of my 8 games on day 1, so that worked out fairly well. And I thought if those matchups are fine, and if I feel comfortable with this deck, we'll just see if we can dodge yellow villain enough to make it happen. And for the most part, I did.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. So, I guess the next question I have for you, I mean, kind of steering away from this deck is, after seeing what you saw at Worlds from your own personal perspective, what do you think the top deck is in the meta right now?
Um, I think the world champ really exemplifies what I think is the best deck and what's so great about the best deck, which is that Chopper Droids deck, because his list was pretty different from everyone else that was playing Chopper Droids. His removal package was a lot different. He had some different upgrades, although not totally different. But it was really tailored to his style, and I think because that Droids deck, you can really maximize the action sheet moments. You can really maximize the abilities to ramp when you need to disrupt your opponent or to discard their hands. The fact that that deck can play pretty flexibly while also just sniping out a kill when the damage is hot, I think that makes it the best deck, because you can just do what you want and really snipe characters off, ramp, disrupt your opponent, whatever you need to do in the moment, and whatever your play style is, you can tailor the list to that a little bit, and you can play it in those moments to kind of maximize how you play the game.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I mean, obviously, no one can argue with the fact that it won. So, but I mean, good pilot is not to be lost on that, right? So,
time to disrupt your opponent or just ramp yourself. So the flexibility makes it really powerful in the right hands, but it can also make it kind of daunting to figure out what's the right move at a certain moment. So I think it makes it very strong, but it's not something that you can pick up and pilot at the top level because there's so many options and so many moments. And if you just go aggro, good players are going to expose just the kill hunting and make you get punished for that. Or if you miss some rolls, it's just not going to go for you.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. And if you look at what happened in the finals, I mean, he was obviously up against a good player, and it looked like for a lot of that he was behind. So, it's not just the comp, right? It's not just the team comp. So fair point. So let's go ahead and close this out. So so again, I wanted to thank you a lot for joining me today. I know it's a Sunday and all that. But also, are there any are you members of any teams? Do you want to do any shout outs or anything before we get out of here?
I'm not really a part of a content team or anything like that, but my local store is Mayhem Comics and Games, and all the guys that play from there were pretty loyal to the store, so I'll shout out Mayhem and the guys I play with there.
All right, well, fair enough. Hey, again, thanks a lot for joining me today, and if nothing else, go Commando.
Thank you very much.